In middle school, cool math games was the greatest thing ever made, obviously. Hangman, Snake, Papa's Pizzeria, all classics, don't get me wrong, but my favorite game was always Run 3. Running this little alien guy through 65 platforming levels was the highlight of computer class as a kid. Recently, I thought it could be fun to make an attempt at the speedrun world record for the game. Surely that wouldn't take too long. Anyway, let me tell you the 2-year story of how I got the world record in the game of my childhood. The story begins in December 2020. I was having fond memories of Run 3 and was curious if there was any speedrunning category for it. To my surprise, there was. The top run on that leaderboard was a 10-minute, 48-second run by a user named DHA. From December 2020 into January 2021, I learned how to speedrun Run 3. This feels like a pretty good time to talk about what a typical game of Run 3 actually looks like. This is you. You can jump and move left and right. You're plopped into level 1 and have to make your way through this giant tunnel all the way to level 65. Once you make it to that final cutscene, you've successfully completed one basic run-through of Run 3. And that takes way too long. Luckily, there's a lot of methods that speedrunners use to help complete the game much faster. Let's rewind. The first speedrunning strategy actually starts before the game even begins. You see, the creators gave players a way to skip through the first 3 tutorial levels by viewing the in-game credits. So, instead of clicking that big play button in the center of the screen, what you actually want to do is click the settings button in the top right corner, opening and closing the credits, opening the galaxy map, and clicking on the now available level 4. Typically, speedrunners are able to get through this in the first second to second and a half of the game. The next major strategy is definitely the biggest time save of the game. When you look at the old leaderboard, you might notice the DHA was a whole 10 seconds ahead of second place. How is that even possible? DHA was a master of menus. When you beat a level in Run 3, there's a small space you have to walk through to get to the next level. Over the course of 65 levels, those extra seconds really start to add up. What you can do to get around walking through these spaces is exit out of the game as soon as you finish and reopen it right away. This will place you at the start of the very next level. The quicker you're able to leave the game and start the next level, the faster your time will be. DHA was way better than everybody else at menus at the time, which meant that his record was much faster. A third, more obvious strategy for people who have played the game is to change the alien you're playing as. After level 10, you're introduced to the skater, who is way faster than the default alien with the trade-off of it not being able to jump as high. In a typical speedrun, you make it to level 10, close out the cutscene as quick as possible, switch to the skater, and continue the run. The increased speed makes the run a lot more difficult, but it's worth it for world record pace. After studying the game and practicing for a while, I had gotten pretty consistent with the opening skip and good menus. If I could continuously do fast menus for an entire run without dying, I might have a chance of breaking into the top 3. At the time, there were only 2 speedrunners who had ever recorded runs under 11 minutes, and I wanted to be the third. On December 22nd of 2020, my push for sub 11 began. By January 19th, I had gotten a time of 11 minutes and 8 seconds, and was one of the top 5 speedrunners in the world. By that time, the only thing that was really still a problem for me was beating the game without dying. I had died at least once in every practice run leading up to that point, and had yet to complete a single deathless run. If I could get through these difficult levels without dying, I could easily hit sub 11. And so, I started practicing. And practicing. And practicing. Zero deaths. 10 minutes, 58 seconds. Originally, the leaderboards had me tied with the username Elbow Lord for second place, but later on it was updated to show that I had beaten their record by a fraction of a second. With a single deathless run, I was suddenly second place in the world at Run 3. And sadly, that's where I was gonna stay. DHA's run was simply too perfect for me to even come close to at the time. I made a few more attempts over the following days, but I was happy enough with second place. So, I left Run 3 behind. Until 2 years later. One day in January, now 2023, I'm reminiscing about old times and take a look at the Run 3 leaderboards to find a surprising new development. On January 18th, a user named N55 was able to pull off a deathless 10:54. No new strategies or anything, they were just faster at menus than I was. I was a bit more impressed than whoever he was celebrating to.
Holy shit. Leela.
I had lost my second place spot by 4 seconds, but I thought that I could maybe get it back. On that night in January, I re-downloaded Run 3 and started speedrunning the game for the first time in 2 years. Weirdly enough, I quickly realized I was actually better at the game than I was when I left. Obviously, I need some practice to beat the game deathless, but my menus were way faster than they were before. Maybe that human benchmark practice actually paid off. My time was improving, my speed was increasing, and I was getting closer and closer to taking back the number 2 spot, or even the world record. And then I stopped. Listen, I got busy with life and school and all the other things, and even though I was getting better, I still had a lot of other stuff to focus on at the time. Maybe I'd go back to running the game again in the summer, but for now, I was happy enough staying in 3rd. So, I left Run 3 behind. Until 3 months later! April 9th, 2023. The world stopped. I'm scrolling through the new messages of my Discord server, #plug, and I stumble upon this. I just learned that Joey is number 4 on the Run 3 leaderboards. What the hell? This message seems innocent enough at first, but it has one major problem. Number 4? Oh my god. I immediately opened the Run 3 speedrun page and am met by something that shocked me to my core. A 10:42. AK Cuber, a runner who I had never seen before, had suddenly broken a world record that had stood for 4 years. By 4 whole seconds? I watched the entire run. The 10 minutes 42 seconds that followed were a roller coaster, to say the least. AK died 3 times. How is that possible? The first 2/3 of the run were really impressive. AK played flawlessly, and their menus were consistently faster than anybody else I'd ever seen. By level 53, they were a whole 3 seconds ahead of the world record. But then, everything changed. After level 53, AK stops. They pause the game and make their way to the next and previous arrows at the top of the screen. 2 clicks later, and they're at the start of level 56. A simple coding glitch had been discovered, and it changed everything. AK messed up the menu on 57. They died on 59. And 64. And 65. But it didn't matter. Thanks to the new glitch, it was a world record by 2 seconds. After watching that run, I realized I was sitting on a golden opportunity. The world record had just been broken, a new strategy had just been found, and the record wasn't perfect. AK died 3 times. The record now had potential to break into the 1020s, but for now, it was stuck at 1042. If I could just get a slightly better run, die a few times less, I might have a shot at the world record. The record had already been on the leaderboards for a couple days, and I knew AK was going to get a perfect run sooner or later. This was my only chance. And so, I reopened Run 3 for the 3rd time. Let's review how this run had to go. First, view the credits and skip to level 4. Then switch to the skater at level 10. Now, go through all the menus as fast as you can without dying until you hit level 53. At the end of that level, use the arrows to skip to 56. Play through the last 10 levels, and bam! World record. Unfortunately, this was way easier said than done. Do you guys know that space between Christmas and New Year's where nothing feels real and time moves really slow and really fast at the same time? Turns out the same thing happens if you spend hours a day speedrunning the game of your childhood. I wish there was more to say about this time, but there just isn't much to say. No new strategies, no big changes, just me, playing Run 3 until I get the record. Or die trying. Die? After a few days of practice, my time was going down. I was getting better and better, closer and closer to the perfect run. I won't lie to you, I was a little obsessed. Any free moment I had, I would be practicing. I needed perfection. If my opening was half a second too slow, if I tripped during an early level, if one of my menus was screwed up, if I even fell once. You're kidding me. Oh my god. Reset. Hours would go by and I wouldn't finish a single run. I was pretty sure I was getting better, but how was I supposed to tell if I couldn't even get across the finish line? Rock bottom is a hard place to get to when you're playing a video game you love, but I was getting there. There's this special, awful feeling you get when you're on the perfect run. Level after level is flawless, but the stress just keeps building up as the levels get harder and harder and you get closer to the end, and then you screw up. That perfect run is gone. Makes you want to throw everything away and never play the game again, especially after the number of runs I did. I was drowning in the quest for perfection. And then I realized something. I had forgotten the point. The reason I decided to make an attempt at this world record to begin with was because it didn't have to be perfect. I'm not particularly great at this game. I'm just good enough. But that's all I needed to be. I was so focused on getting this perfect run that I was killing any chances I had of getting a world record. I didn't need to be perfect. I will never be perfect. I just need to be good enough. Oh my god, let's go. There it is. Okay, cool. 1041. Not even close to a perfect run. My menus were slow. I died on level 58. But it was good enough. And it was just in time, too. AK got a 1031 just 12 hours later. I was back in second place. But it didn't matter. I had gotten the world record in the game of my childhood. I think 10-year-old me would be pretty proud. At some point, I might go for the world record again. Who knows? But for right now, I'm happy enough with second place. Just like I was 2 years ago. Thank you for watching.